Well, I hadn't realised that I'd clicked on to live quite as soon as I had. So you caught me doing a little domestics. Um, just for those people who have only just tuned in or only just found us, this is Western Road, one of the main roads in Lewes. It leads onto the high street, in fact, and it's just outside the Black Horse pub, but also opposite to a small historical site, nothing more than a patch of green grass now, but at one time housed a mill in which one of the king's allies took refuge after the Battle of Lewes in 1264. As with most historical sites, there's nothing more than a patch of grass, except a hell of a lot happened there. Right, so what we'll do now is we'll we're going to show you again another version of Catchem, the crime program which we are planning to reintroduce. So here you go with a version of Catchem.
Yes, yes. My bank? Yes, yes. Of course. Absolutely. Right away. Hello, I'm Keith Hayes with another edition of our crime show, Catchem. I just said yes to a caller who told me he was from my bank and wanted details of my account. He said I needed to verify that a large sum of money had been transferred out. Well, there's no fool like an old fool, and I gave them to him. Sadly, of course, the call wasn't from my bank at all. It was from a member of a gang of con artists who wanted to gain access to my account and my cash. Actually, I didn't fall for it. But it's an old con, and each generation of criminals using it sound more plausible than the last lot. A team of these con artists has been operating in the Seaford area recently, so be on guard. The con men in this case have been bolder than most and pretended to be police officers investigating fraud at Argos. So far, the callers have been frustrated because their targets have recognised the call for what they are: fraudulent. But this is a common crime, and many people in a moment of panic fall for it and reveal bank and credit card details. They're very sophisticated, so don't fall for it. Keep your bank details and your cash to yourself. Along with the widespread use of computers has come online crime. Police in Sussex are investigating reports of online extortion threats to business enterprises. A gang has been making threats online that if their victims do not pay virtual currency into an online account, their websites will be attacked. Businesses in the hospitality sector have been especially hit by these thugs. In just a week, 5 businesses, restaurants, B&Bs and hotels across the county have reported receiving emails threatening to hack their websites. The criminals demand that the owners pay £500 by Bitcoin into an online payment address. The Sussex Police cybercrime team are investigating. Vandalism is the deliberate act of destroying or defacing the property of another person without permission. That includes graffiti. If you want to practice this art form, Do it on your own house. If you do it on someone else's property, you've broken the law, no matter how pretty it is. It's a funny old country we live in, but do have a thought for people in France. They're breaking the law if they call a pig Napoleon. Back at home, it's illegal to keep a pigsty in front of your house. And rugby players take note, it's illegal to sing any profane or obscene song or ballad in any street. If Monday morning is wash day for you, then dry it in the back of the garden. It's illegal to erect a washing line across any street. And if you're visiting London, be patient in the Underground station. Under the terms of a bylaw, it's illegal to jump the queue in the tube ticket hall. Finally, a warning to our local MP. MPs are not allowed to wear armour in Parliament. A statute brought into law in 1313 forbids the wearing of armour by members of Parliament when they go to the House of Commons. The law has never been repealed. Standing on the outskirts of Lewes, the town's jail looks formidable. It was built in 1853, and over the years has played host to a number of famous names from the world of crime. The Russian prisoners from the Crimea War, who were held in the old naval prison, have become famous over time. There's a monument in St. John sub Castro churchyard to those inmates who died while in captivity. It's paid for by Russia. A play has been written about them, and only recently the Russian ambassador paid a visit to the site. Less well known is that 300 Finnish grenadiers, fighting for the Russians, were incarcerated in Lewes jail, not the naval prison. They were the new prison's first inmates. Several leaders of the Irish Easter Uprising in Dublin of 1916 were held there. They included Eamon de Valera, later the Republic's first president and prime minister. Probably the most famous murderer in the prison was John George Haigh. He was known as the acid bath murderer. That's the way he tried to dispose of his victims. He appeared at Lewes Assize Court in July 1949 and was found guilty in just 17 minutes. He was hanged by the then famous Albert Pierrepoint in August 1949. A notorious local murder in 1912 saw John Williams hanged in Lewes prison. Williams shot a police inspector in Eastbourne, for which he paid the ultimate price. The notorious Kray twins, Ronnie and Reggie, were imprisoned in Lewes jail in the 60s. The colourful, so-called celebrity gangsters managed to keep business going as usual while behind bars, hiring out protection teams to Hollywood stars. Frank Sinatra hired 17 of them from the Krays. No prison worth its salt can exist without at least one ghost, and Lewes is no different. Local gossip has it that one of the corridors is haunted by a man in Victorian-style prison garb. He is said to have dropped dead of a seizure when he saw his son enter the same block as a fellow prisoner. So keep your eyes peeled as you pass the prison on the way out of Lewes on the road to Brighton. You never know what you might see. And that's Catch 'em for this week. Join me next week for another look and roundup of crime within the district of Lewes. Heath Hayes, South Downs TV. There's one crime that's still on the statute books that I haven't mentioned, and that's ringing somebody's doorbell and running away. Well, you can expect an updated version of that in the next couple of weeks. We're not going to hang around for too much longer today, but
I started to tell you. Not started. I told you last week about, or earlier this week, about Horatio Bottomley, and one of the great swindlers of all time in Britain, and who left a legacy of the Financial Times. Quite remarkable. And then I told you about Jack Fuller, and Mad Jack, who built his follies and monuments, but who was remarkably generous with his money in terms of putting it into what would seem mad at the time, but Faraday's cage. Not as widely known as some other projects, but Faraday was a scientist who investigated and developed the ability of sound waves and light waves to go through a cage, and that cage was known as Faraday's cage. The importance of it was early start to television. He also put in great chunks of money into Davy's lamp. That's better known. At one time it was taught in schools. I don't know whether it still is. But in ages past, miners would go down quite deep to find seams of coal, and they would light up a light. I say a match, but it probably was a flint, creating a spark and creating a light via primitive lamps of the time. And if there was a little pocket of gas, there they were blown to kingdom come. It was not a safe thing to do, but it had to be. Otherwise, the nation would have run short of coal. Oh, excuse me. And Davy's lamp was invented by, an inventor who discovered the way to make a lamp that you could light deep down in the pit. And even if there was gas around, it would not ignite it and would not cause explosions, which would kill and maim. And Mad Jack gave money to developing Davy's lamp. He did lots of other things with lifeboats and the lighthouses. Even his follies had a purpose. But he also made his money from and was a proponent of slavery, which made him controversial. So as a consequence, Mad Jack, who built a small Egyptian pyramid as his mausoleum in the East Sussex village, of which he was squire, is to be remembered by. And he's remembered. We have a number of other people who should be remembered over the ages as developing Lewis, or helping to develop Lewis. And I intend to highlight some of them in future programs. But I thought perhaps one or two little incidents that have happened that nobody remembers very much, except right at the very focal point. For instance, the very first lifeboat is in 1800s, and is still remembered in the church there. Was developed in New Haven before there was any Royal Naval Lifeboat Institute, before governments wised up to having lifeboats. But a man of war off the coast of New Haven. 101 or 102 people were trapped inside, and the townspeople stood on the banks listening to their cries for help as they were all slowly drowned. And the townspeople decided they could not stand such an occurrence again. And so through public subscription, just Bill and Ben chunking in money, they actually raised money to create the first lifeboat, publicly funded lifeboat anywhere ever. Launched it way before any government-supported lifeboat, and set it out so that no deaths would occur off the coast of New Haven in the southeast of England ever again. There was always a safety valve and a group of people willing to risk their own life and limb for keeping people safe at sea, anyway. And that is still remembered in the church. The church up on the hill, the church that was built by the Priory, by Lewes Priory, and that could be anywhere back to 12 or 1300. The Priory was started in 88, I think it was. 1066 was the invasion of the conquest. So it was yes, it was 1070 something that the Priory was started, and it built a little satellite church in New Haven, in line of sight, incidentally, of the Priory, and that's where there is a memorial, quite a substantial memorial, to the shipwreck and the shipwrecked, and those who were lost in New Haven and off the New Haven coast, and it triggered the rise of what is our present-day network, first-class network, I may say, of lifeboats. So that's one little area that we don't know about, or most people don't know about. Another little item that isn't known is that a little village heading towards New Haven on the banks of the Ouse it's still lived in, but it's very, very small, and it's got a Norman church with one of the twisted spires that was common in our part of the world, but not anywhere else. The village is it'll come back to me. Often happens with me now is that I start a sentence knowing the church or the place or the person that I'm going to talk about, and then forgetting for a minute or two what I recollect. It wasn't Roddenmore, and it wasn't Piddinghoe. It was the one in between, whose the name I just can't remember. But it, at one stage, was pulling so much shrimp out of the River Ouse that it was by far the biggest supplier of the fish in the area, far outstripping Brighton, which in its early days was considered to be a shrimp village. So there is lots that went on in this part of the world. It's 10 past 10, and we're going to end this Friday. We're going to take off early, but since an awful lot of people aren't coming in at all, saying they're working from home, but can you get hold of them? No. Am I being lazy? I don't think so. I've been up at 5 o'clock every day this week, including today, trying hard to make, as Poirot would say, the little grey cells work. But it has been fragmented and bitty. But we've been busy recruiting, and we're slowly getting to where we got enough people to cover everything that we're doing. And generally speaking, to do it without having to apologize because somebody has gone shopping or gone to take their great grandmother to hospital or something of the sort. We're getting there. We appreciate those people who stuck with us. And we hope that over the next month, we're going to pick up an awful lot of you, or get those people who have been with us and left back because of the audacity of our programs. I say audacity, the audacity that we've got a team that are willing to have a go at providing this type of television with very little resources. And to be quite honest with you, one can't blame people who appear on the screen for if their wife or husband or relative or some other force demands their presence, is we can't help but say, yes, God bless you, off you go. But it does leave, and sometimes in a very short notice, with me having to use, yes, borrow, I will, the little grey cells to keep us going. But there are days even when I am a little bit slow, a little bit tired. And at the end of this week, I am a bit weary. And so I'm looking forward to the next weekend, where I know what I will do, of course. I will. Oh, 2 buses passing outside. I will, of course, work, which I do at every moment that's free on trying to make Mirador better and looking at ways of doing it. And that's where my little grey cells are going to be focused from now until Monday morning at 8 o'clock, when we'll be back again. And I assure you, it won't be as spotty and what do we say? All over the place, higgledy-piggledy, as it has been in the last little while. We are getting there, and we are very pleased that you stayed with us. We're very grateful that you stayed with us. So I hope that... right. Now, what we're seeing here is we're seeing Declan, Chief of Staff and the manager of the pub, the landlord, backing in. He'll be in a minute, which means that the taps will be open. So perhaps I can tap him for an early morning drink. Then again, perhaps not. He's very accommodating, but there are some things that he won't do. So we'll say cheerio, and I'm going to have a well-earned rest this weekend. No, I'm not. I've got to do my tax, even though I didn't earn anything. The taxman still wants to know any income whatsoever. He wants his piece of pie. So there you are. I don't think I just don't have the energy to go and search for another program. Is that the people that are normally on today weren't available, so it's left me on my own. But nonetheless, I do all right till Monday, because otherwise I'm not only going to fall asleep myself, I'm going to put you to sleep as well. Oh, dear. We'll there we go. No. Amidst the chaos, a nice, solid event that's happening and that is Sunday night at 8 o'clock here in the Black Horse. We have a pub quiz, a very popular pub quiz it is too. So do get the shekels out, because it costs you £2 to enter. It costs you £2 to get into the pub, but it costs you £2 to enter. And it's a good fun quiz, very, very popular. So make sure that you actually turn up for that. And the other thing is the Sunday lunch. It's a terrific Sunday lunch, wonderful Sunday lunch. And the regular menu has been altered to suit your tastes. So do drop in during the week and have your lunch, because Declan will be here and very willing to serve you not only a pint of beer, but either a decent sandwich or a nice snack lunch. That's at the Black Horse on Western Road in Lewes. And God bless you. You can rest assured everybody will look after you if you walk through those doors. Okay. Now I can go. Right, and it's been from Lewes in the Black Horse pub.